if you copy this Google ad strategy for your e-commerce brand, it will 3x your sales. You see, most e-commerce brands running Google ads are stuck at the same revenue ceiling because they're doing cold traffic Google ads completely backwards. They're sending strangers straight to product pages, wondering why their CAC keeps climbing, while their LTV stays flat. But brands that are scaling past 7 figures, past 8 figures, they've cracked the code on what it takes to actively grow their brand on Google ads. Not just selling to branded traffic, not just doing awareness campaigns, not having campaigns that run but don't convert. They've been able to implement this cold traffic Google ad strategy into their e-commerce brand so that they can actively acquire cheap new customers for their brand every single day so that they can scale. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact system that turns expensive cold clicks on Google ads into profitable customers for your e-commerce brand so you can scale too. So let me explain what's happening right now in e-commerce that's keeping 90% of brands trapped at the same revenue level, no matter how much they spend on ads. What's actually happening is that most e-commerce brands, they run cold traffic, they create the ad, so whether it be a search campaign, most likely a shopping campaign, then they send people straight to the product page. And then they pray that a complete stranger who's never heard of them and their brand will immediately trust them enough to pull out their credit card. Now, on Google, this might seem like the right thing to do. And for certain campaigns, it's true. On shopping, they're usually searching for that product. On search, there's usually a search query on that product. But the problem is that you're staying at the product aware level. They're already aware of the product. And because that's the obvious way in which you're going to advertise on Google, just type in the product name and then you'll get the click. All your competitors are on there too. So it's going to be more expensive in the auction. So it's going to be harder to get the sale because there's more competitors and the clicks cost more. And it's also insane when you think about it, where if you put an ad up to someone who's never heard of you before and you just send them straight to the product page with no educational assets, no value whatsoever, that they're just going to pull out their card and buy it unless they're absolutely desperate and are in the 1% of all the market who are looking to buy that product in the first place. So the math doesn't work out, and it's crazy if you think about it, because if you're sending cold traffic straight to a product page, you're lucky to get like a 1 to 2% conversion rate. And with an average order value of $75, let's say, you're looking at a $40 to $60 customer acquisition cost just to break even. That's before you factor in fulfillment, returns, and overheads and that type of stuff. But where it gets worse is when these brands try to scale by increasing their ad spend, which then drives them into colder and colder audiences with even lower conversion rates. And you cap out on that search volume because you're not expanding out into more broader terms, which are different awareness levels. So they're more problem aware. They're more, oh, something's not quite right. They're more, I'm searching for solutions to this problem rather than understanding what the product is. So you try and scale your ad spend, but because you're scaling into a product term which is more competitive in the first place, you end up paying more. And because of the basic product page that you're running your traffic to isn't taking into account the awareness level of your audience, you're going to raise your budgets, but your revenue's going to stay the same. And that's when you hit the plateau when you're trying to scale cold traffic on Google ads. Your CAC goes up and your ROAS goes down, and then they hit what I call the cold traffic ceiling, the point where spending more money actually makes less money. So you see brands stuck at 100K, 500K, and even 2 mil months because they can't crack the code on profitable cold traffic scaling. They're using the wrong campaigns and they have the wrong mindset. They don't have the broad understanding of how to scale on cold traffic when it comes to Google ads. And they'll plateau for years, burning through agencies, convinced that their product is the problem or the advertising just doesn't work for their industry and their product. Meanwhile, what your competitors are doing, using the system I'm going to give you in this video to help them effortlessly scale into cold and colder traffics by utilizing all of the campaigns that you have on Google ads, plus an understanding how to leverage shopping ads, search ads, and YouTube ads on cold audiences because they have the psychology behind it. Let me explain. Real quick, before I get into the system, if you want the free Google ads course that we put together to scale your supplement brand, your health brand, your wellness brand, your e-commerce brand on cold traffic Google ads, YouTube ads, exactly how to do it, the campaigns to run, the Google Merchant Center optimizations, the funnels, the ads, everything you need. Second link in the description, put in your email and send it to your inbox absolutely free in seconds. Anyway, back to the video. This is what 7 and 8 figure brands figured out that everyone else is missing, that you probably missed too. The cold traffic isn't the problem itself. It's a psychology problem. It's how you're thinking about the cold traffic. So when someone clicks your ad, they're not ready to buy yet. You just sold them on the click, but you've not sold them on the product. There's a whole conversion mechanism behind Google and YouTube ads, which is beyond just the ad. The ad is one part of it. It's like the 80% of everything, which gets 20% of the results. How to actually convert someone so you get money back on the clicks that you've been getting is the conversion mechanism behind it. And when you're scaling into colder and colder traffic, they're not ready to buy yet. They're ready to learn, they need to evaluate. Because Google's a comparative shopping platform, they need to click on all the different ads to see who's got the best offer, who do I like more, that type of stuff. So you need to set yourself up in a frame where you are actively competing with the people that you're also advertising against. When someone searches something in, they see all your ads at once. So you need to think about the person who's searching on Google and they see all these different ads. Of course, you're going to click multiple different ones. So you want to set up your conversion mechanism in a way which caters to that, where you give them more information, us versus them, educational points, outcomes and identities that they'll become once they purchase your product. And the wrong mindset is really quite backwards if you think about it, because if you have a traditional e-commerce funnel, just where you have the ad, then you have the product page and you have the sale, it's like you've seen someone attractive at a coffee shop, you chat for 3 minutes, if you have the balls to even go up to them in the first place. And then right there, you just propose to them. They're going to think you're insane and run away, right? That's exactly what most e-commerce brands are doing with cold traffic. You're saying like, hi stranger, here's my product, give me $100. And the brands that scale understand that cold traffic has to be treated treated like dating. You need to court the customers, build trust, demonstrate value, and then guide them for a logical sequence that makes buyers feel inevitable rather than risky. And this is why the old way of running Google ads, YouTube ads, where you just have the ad, a search ad, a shopping ad, you do a bit of product feed optimization, then you just run it straight to the product page. I think that's done now. Ad to product page to checkout was designed for warm traffic, people who already know or trust your brand or are already in market. But if you want to scale past 7 figures, 8 figures, you need to scale into people who aren't aware of you at all. And traditional Google ads don't cater to that as well unless you know what you're doing. So this is why we use what we call the cold customer magnet Google ad system. It's a system designed specifically for cold customers to advertise on Google so that you can scale. And this is what it looks like here. You've got the top of funnel demand gen with YouTube Shorts, YouTube InStream, and Google Display. You've got the middle of funnel prospecting search, performance max, prospecting shopping. And then you have the bottom of funnel stuff where you've got dynamic remarketing, branded search, branded shopping. But the key here is that in the middle of a funnel for all the demand gen stuff, you have not product pages, but landing pages specifically designed and be congruent with the ad and the awareness level of that market. And you want to test which one will work best for your audience. So you can use an advertorial, a listicle, a VSL, a quiz funnel, that type of stuff. But you've added in this extra step to cater for the awareness level of the audience that you're advertising to on Google. This can also work on shopping campaigns where you're running colder and colder terms, same with search. Testing your landing pages and your conversion mechanism is the unlock, because you get cheap CPCs, you're bidding on stuff that people aren't bidding on, but then you're using the landing page, which is congruent, to convert those customers in the first place. So instead of asking for the sale immediately, you're saying, hey, watch this video, take this quiz, read this article, be educated, we're providing value to you. So the reciprocation bias comes in, and each step builds trust and investment until buying becomes the natural next step that they'll take. So when your ad is actually valuable content that people want to consume, Google will show it to more people for less money. So you're working with the algorithm as opposed to against it. By the way, if you're a supplement brand, a health brand, a wellness brand, and you want to replicate this cold customer magnet into your Google ads for your e-commerce brand so that you can scale to 7, 8 figures, then check the link in the description, book a call. So that's the funnel, and I've shown it in other videos as well. But where it really gets interesting from a business perspective is how this system completely changes your unit economics. Traditional e-commerce is what I call pray and hope business. So you acquire a customer, you hope they like the product, you hope they don't return it, and you hope that they may buy again someday. And your entire business is dependent on that first purchase being profitable enough to sustain everything. What the cold customer magnet does, especially on Google Ads, is that it flips it completely. Instead of hoping for profitability, you engineer the profitability. And you're not just selling a product, you're maximizing the value of every customer interaction from day one. You're acquiring better customers because they're more educated when they come into your brand. They're more sold on you, your product, the problem that you're solving, the unique mechanism of the solution, and you're able to display that in a way which is congruent to the ad. And it's just a much easier sales process because you've disguised it through education rather than saying buy now, buy now, buy now, which is what you could get away with 5 years ago, but you can't do that now, and it's the better strategy to do anyway on Google Ads. First, you're acquiring customers cheaper because your conversion rates are 3 to 4x higher. So instead of getting 1 to 2%, you're getting 5 to 6% on cold traffic through YouTube ads because they're so cheap, and you're educating them, and they're better customers, and it's better targeting, and you can just duplicate your meta funnel onto YouTube anyway with a bit different conversion mechanism, and maybe a couple different hooks here and there. It's really just a no-brainer. Second, you've increased your average order value through strategic upsells and bundles. The third point is you're building a customer base that actually wants to hear from you again because of the way in which they came into your product. They're being educated, they're being given a better solution to the problem that they're facing, they're being helped as opposed to being advertised to. People like to buy, they don't like to be sold to. If you give them a reason to buy and you disguise the selling part of the sales process, then they're going to want to buy from you again. When someone discovers your brand through valuable content on YouTube ads, on cold Google ads, rather than pushy ads, the relationship starts differently. They see you as like an advisor, not just as another company trying to take their money. Everyone's been sold to, everyone's got the ads, everyone's got the claims, but if you're able to disguise the sales process in a way which is seamless and you're presenting them with an opportunity to buy, then they're going to buy from you. It flips the frame completely, and this psychology is the reason why we're able to scale on cold traffic with Google ads for the brands that we work with, as opposed to just setting up some shopping ads, badly optimized, and then just hoping and praying that people will buy from you on the shopping campaigns. I've seen brands increase their customer lifetime value by 200 to 300% just by changing how customers discover them through cold traffic. It's the same products, it's the same prices, but it's a different conversion mechanism and sales process to build a completely different customer relationship. So what happens when this funnel works? Well, as you can see here, as I zoom in a little bit, in May, we spent 150K on ads for this brand, and we got them back 486K. This is all with cold traffic campaigns with an understanding of how to advertise to people on cold traffic. And I documented this case study going into way more detail about the psychology behind it, all of the ways in which we took this brand from $0 on Google over the time of us working together, generating them nearly $500,000 out of 3.26 ROAS in 31 days with the exact cold customer magnet system, which I explained in this video, and the cold traffic Google Ads strategy that you can use to do the same for your brand. The video breaks down every ad, the pages, the strategy step by step. And if you want to watch that video where I break down exactly how we got this result using the strategy which I just took you through, click the video on screen, it'll take you right to it. I'll see you there.